Hello, 6th graders. We are at lesson 1 for our new area for Eastern Europe and Western Russia. Going to talk about the physical geography. Again, how does geography influence the way people live? Got our terms to know, and then we've got our map right here. One thing I want to show you guys for the map, this solid black line right here, this is what separates Europe from Asia. If you are on the west of this line, you're in Europe. If you are east of this line, you are in Asia. Western Russia is not its own country. This is just the western portion of the country of Russia. So Russia is the only country that's actually located in 2 different continents. This part is in Asia. This part is in Russia. The eastern portion is in Asia. All right, let's flip this over. Let's start marking stuff up. So, number 1, we need to read the text on the right and underline the sentence that tells where the border between Europe and Asia is located. Well, we literally just talked about that, so it's right here. The Ural Mountains form a boundary between Europe and Asia east of the Russian plain. Pretty simple. Number 2, we have 2 basins are part of the geography of the region. Where are they located? So your first one is you have the Transylvania Basin located in Romania. If you're thinking of Dracula, yep, that area is a real place. Transylvania is a place you can go to. The myth of Dracula did come from there. And the next one is the Vienna Basin between the Alps and the Carpathian Mountains. So that is east of Germany. And that is between Alps and Carpathian. I should probably spell that right. Carpathian, MTS for mountains. There we go. What helped lead to the Balkanization of the Balkan Peninsula? So Balkanization is just the breaking up or the conflict among ethnic groups because there was a very big war thing there. And that's really going to be our answer, is conflict among ethnic groups. You have groups here that are predominantly different things. So you have Christian groups, you have some Islamic groups as well, and they in this area did not get along to the point where you actually had like wars and military conflicts and lots of people dying happening. All right, in what ways have the landforms in the Balkan Peninsula shaped the cultures of the region? So what you have is you have very high mountains, which means that you have people who are very isolated. So mountains have isolated settlements. And what this leads to is that an area that is completely isolated is going to develop on its own. It's not going to be really influenced too much by other cultures. So even in the same country, you could have cultural differences between people who are a few hundred miles apart simply because they don't have a lot of interaction because the geography of the tall mountains doesn't allow them to really move around. Okay, number 5. Highlight the names of the rivers that provide hydroelectric power to the region. So really, we're just looking at the name of the river and its use. If it says hydroelectric power, we're going to highlight it. The Volga in Russia does hydroelectric power. Highlight. The Dnieper, however you want to say it, there's a few different ways. Or you can also call it the Dnieper River. Sometimes they ignore the D. This is located in Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. It also provides hydroelectric power. We're going to go ahead and highlight that. The Dniester River, it's in the Carpathians, freight and passenger ships, so no hydroelectric, not going to worry about it. The Danube, southern Germany to the Black Sea, transportation, hydroelectric power, fishing and irrigation. So we'll highlight that. Number 6, how is the location of the Black Sea strategic to the region? It is located at the borders of Europe and Asia, and it's along trade routes. So that's what we're going to put down. Located on Europe / Asia border, and then it's also on trade routes. So this region has been where trade routes are for several hundred years. When the Silk Road existed, things moved through this area. Even now, you have things still moving along this area, especially stuff like natural gas, and a lot of freight and shipping happens along that part. Number 7, why do grasses and low scrubby bushes form the primary vegetation of the archipelago of Novaya Zemlya? And I may be saying that wrong. My Russian's not great. Okay, well, you have those little things just because of the climate and everything like that. They have a polar climate, which means it's very cold there. and it's mostly covered with ice. So you're not going to have a lot of big plants because big plants need more they need more water, they need more direct sunlight, things like that, and you don't really have that when you're in an area that's permanently kind of frozen. All right, number 8. What area in Eastern Europe or Western Russia has a climate most similar to where we live? So this is very dependent upon the area. So kids answering these questions in like Minnesota would be different. We are in kind of central Texas. So what we are looking at is we're looking at probably this. Albania and Macedonia have a more Mediterranean climate. That's kind of similar to what we have here. We don't really have the really cold winters, so we're not going to be similar to Croatia, Serbia, or Bulgaria. We're going to stick with Albania and Macedonia. All right, let's flip the page. We'll finish up this section here. Okay, number 9, read the text on the right. Highlight the names of products of Russia's forest industry. So Russia probably has one of the biggest forest industries of any country just because they're the world's largest country and because they have a lot of trees. So, also 1/5 of the world's forests are in Russia. So lumber is a big deal. That's the process of chopping down trees and using them to produce anything. Paper is made from trees, and then cardboard. So all those boxes, cardboard boxes and stuff, they're all, the result of cutting down trees. Okay, number 10, why are Russia's mineral industries so important to its economy? Well, they're very important because Russia has a very big industrial economy in terms of making things. So they go ahead and they help fuel everything. They fuel the industry and they help the machines work. So it is important. Probably should put 2 instead of just an O, to fuel industry and machines. All right, let's look at our writing prompts. What role does the Danube River play in Eastern Europe? We've kind of talked about the Danube already. Just give me a couple sentences on how it affects that region. And then number 2, which energy sources are important in Eastern Europe and Western Russia? That's going to be in this last kind of section up here. Look through that. Give me a couple sentences there and you'll be all set. I will see you guys when we talk about lesson 2 for the history of Eastern Europe and Western Russia.